So, if you enjoy crafting, there's a lot of different ways that you can actually make a lot of currency in the early league by just crafting items that are totally mediocre but are still very profitable since they're very easy to craft. Since you're not min-maxing anything early league, you just want those constant upgrades. This is a great method, and this has been proven for multiple leagues, but I don't think too many people really talk about it. It's something that I didn't really personally see being talked about that much. People just say, oh, just do this or craft it for your build, but nobody, I don't think, actually has the perspective that, hey, maybe this could also be useful for other people. So whenever you upgrade and you sell like your old upgrade, think about just doing that, but on a bigger scale. So what I mean by that is the best way to find these items, like because you can have the first question, right? What items do I find that I want to craft? Or how do I make profit and how do I find items that are going to be easy to craft and profitable? Well, some of these things early on are going to be things like bows and quivers, or chess pieces, or boots with movement speed, or gloves with some certain implicits or whatever. And many of these items are just easily craftable and also just shown. And how to find these items, all you need to do is just look at popular League Starter builds. So one of the popular League Starter builds is going to be, for example, Zizerin's Detonate Dead, in my opinion. Here, even when I just opened his POB, he shows like the end game way, end game oscillated, non-oscillating, very early leveling obviously is going to be crappy gear. But if we go for like the end game build, we can see that Stygian Vices, whenever they're very profitable early league if you manage to get into maps quite later on and you manage to farm up a couple of high item level Stygian Vices, it's going to be great for profitability because you're going to have a lot of life and resistances on that, and boom, multiple divines. So like a belt like this in early league can be sold quite well, considering the max life, the percent max life with the Hunter Exalt, and now, well, having invitations, for example, is also a cool addition with the league changes that they've made. So, if you mix up a couple of strategies and you just want to get some Hunter Exalts and you don't even want to buy them, like a strategy like crafting Stygian Vices is going to be good. A lot of builds use it because the Abyssal Socket is always great. It adds extra layers of resistances of, well, I don't know, avoidance, ailment avoidance, or whatever you really need. So Stygian Vices are always good for majority of builds, especially early on before you get those like end league items, right? Same thing with boots. He even shows you here in the title, if you look at it, Fractured Life plus Scorn Essence still suffixes, which is pain. And by looking at this, I agree. Buying a Fractured Life shouldn't be that expensive. It doesn't really matter what base because people aren't really min-maxing their builds, like I said. So you can just buy pretty much any base with Fractured Life as long as it's a high tier. Craft some resistance on it, craft some movement speed on it, craft until, you have that 14% spell suppression, and you're all good. Well, actually, the spell suppression you should have from Scorn. So just craft until you get that movement speed, and there's, if you know how to craft, it's very easy to do these items and to craft them for a lot of profitability since the bases are just going to be cheap. I mean, early league, a lot of different things are really cheap. So just by buying these certain items, it's just going to be great for you. What you can also do is go for aspirational gear items. So this is, for example, a best in slot bow for, like the league starter, of course, best in slot quiver for the league starter. And if you saw my 6-link guide, Hiri's Ire, if you manage to get a good corruption on it as well, you could 6-link this and just flip these unique chess pieces. So Hiri's Ire is probably going to be expensive again this league since it's just a good unique, and I don't believe that any changes have been made to this unique in this league. So it's still going to be really strong, and people are, and it's incredible in terms of defenses and the flat amount of cold damage that you get on this. It's just chef's kiss completely. So, like, crafting a quiver like this can be quite expensive, of course. But once you stack up a little bit of currency by doing the cheaper big crafts, just by farming harvest and just reforging life, like on a belt, or reforging, I don't know, some sort of resistance, or just like early league, if you want to flip currency and craft with the currency that you farmed personally, because obviously it's going to be the most efficient and cheapest way, is just like farm, in my opinion, harvest with essences, and you're going to be fine because you're going to drop a lot of essences that you can use and just self farm. And harvest as well, you're just going to get a lot of life force and juice out of it. So with the new scarab changes, you can just totally juice up these maps as much as you want, get a lot of resources that you can use for crafting, and just look at the items that people want to use and use it as an aspirational goal towards what you want to do. And if you don't know how to craft, there's a certain website called Craft of Exile, which is going to be very easy to use, and we can just go to the emulator and create a new item. Let's say that, for example, we would like to craft this quiver. So how to craft this quiver? Well, thankfully, we actually have the guide on the Lightning Arrow Deadeye on Maxtroll, created by Spicy Sushi, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, or Tuna. I think Tuna did. Yeah, Tuna did it. So in terms of just like the progression, you can just go here and check quiver, and you can just try to craft these quivers. So finding a fractured bow fires an additional arrow is going to be quite expensive, but you can get here, like it said, critical strike multi or projectile speed, because both of these things are really good for scaling lightning arrow, for example. And then also use deafening essences for the flat elemental damage until you hit bow fires an additional arrow. Annul if you have an open suffix, then cannot roll attack modifiers. And what happens is that if you use cannot roll attack modifiers with an orb and annulment, it will not annul the attack modifiers. So it can remove the cannot roll attack, but if it has, then you just recraft it. So basically, you also then exalt slam until with cannot roll attack modifiers until you get life or increased damage with both skills, because this blocks all attack modifiers. And if we check on Craft of Exile, you can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 skills are with attack tags. So what I do right now, and like he said, let's just do cannot roll attack modifiers, correct? And then what we do is let's just, for example, exalt slam, right? As you can see, let's fill up the suffixes first. We get max life, and we only get damage with bow skills. So these are the two things that do not have an attack tag. That's why doing this is great, because now also if we remove it, it will annul it. It will just annul non-attack modifiers. So this is a great way to get that life, for example, right? And bow skills. So you're just going to have to repeat that until you get a nice high tier life and bow skills. But this is just an example for this. And this is something that is already even explained in detail. And if you want, and you do see items, there's probably multiple guides on crafting specific items for these specific builds. And you can just check these guides and see like, oh, okay, how do I craft this prophecy wand? Or how do I craft this shield? And there's many different ways about going around this, because you can just find these items and you can craft on those bases, and you can farm these bases yourself. You can basically farm anything you want in the game, which is great, and you don't even have to look for it. But especially if you're looking for specific fractures, then yeah, probably buy it from the market. And that's it. Just find items that are on popular builds, that are rare items, find how to craft them, and then try it yourself. So even if you're inexperienced in crafting, you just have to follow a guide and you'll still be learning crafting in the game, which is very advanced. And if you're already an experienced crafter or semi-experienced, this is just going to be a blast for you, since you already know how to do half of the things that are going to be displayed. So then just knowing the costs and knowing how much profit you can make, because obviously you can't just do it with every item. So for example, bows and quivers, it really is dependent, because a lot of people just do that. But still, finding specific items that you can craft and just resell is just amazing. And this has been proven profitable, like I said, for multiple leagues, because this is what a lot of people do. You don't progress your Atlas because you're usually sitting in your hideout crafting. But hey, it does give you those necessary upgrades. It does give you that necessary currency to make those upgrades, if you really do want to focus on farming currency early on without actually blasting maps. So this is a great method, and it's very vaguely explained, but I hope that you get the main idea of what I mean, because it's just simple. I'll just repeat this. Popular build, rare items, find how to craft them. It's that simple. And you're just crafting for other people. You're the supply that, if you have your build and you're searching up the PoE trade, you're buying from basically people that have already done this, crafted or bought from these crafters, right? And that just builds up the market. So you can also be the supplier, and you're going to have, in the end, 20 damn quivers that are semi-decent, good, very good, bad, depending on the crafting outcomes. And you just don't waste too much currency trying to get the best thing. Just if it's mediocre, just sell it as mediocre, take the loss. If it's really good, take the insane profits, and just keep rolling that, and just get that snowball rolling. Keep finding different items, and just keep doing that, and you'll be absolutely fine. It's a great method, trust me. And just do it. Just like Shia LaBeouf said, just do it and try it. What the heck. It's in the end, it's still another experience they can do, another thing they can try. If you don't like it, you don't like it. That's fine. You like blasting maps, and then go blast maps. But if you want to sit in the hideout, chill out a little bit, watch a series in the background, look for items, chill out a little bit. Maybe you're doing this at work or something. Why not, right? So yeah, that's going to be it for today. And thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next one.